Ladies and gentlemen, it is a great honor for me to participate in the sixth Moscow International Conference on International Security. First of all, I would like to express the solidarity on the part of Brazil to all the victims and their families of the terrorist attack in St. Petersburg. Brazil has been consistently standing against any manifestations of terrorism, and we are going to continue to join to make all the effort to join the coalition and counter the international terrorism. Leo Tolstoy, a classical writer of the Russian literature, in his great novel War and Peace, showed us how wars between countries impact individuals, families, and societies. Leo Tolstoy, throughout the novel, tries to understand what role war plays in the history of the people, and what role was played by heroism and struggle on the part of the Russian people. And this novel has become a monument of humanism and the monument to the Russian people. It's true that the situation in the world is quite unpredictable. Military threats are growing, and the threats to use WMD is also mounting. Humankind is getting more and more powerful means of destruction. Instability is growing, which produces more challenges. We are far from the stability that we want to see it here. And on the other hand, we can see new and new threats that may lead to full-scale conflict, and we can see responsibility on the part of individuals and entire states. And it's accidental that I recalled some episodes of the War and Peace, because we can see some attempts of genocide, attempts to destroy entire ethnic groups and people. We can see that there is selfish exploitation of natural resources in various countries. So it is a really great time and high time to establish a unified global security system that would prevent any possibility for the eruption of global conflicts. Till now, force is believed to be the only means to resolve conflicts. And we support peace throughout the world, but we think that the peace is to be defended and protected. And we can see that there is some movement that is making progress towards world stability, and it's becoming a cross-border movement. And we live in the conditions when there has been no major war for 50 years, and we want to see the spirit to be extended further. It's fully in line with our interests and in line with our commitments. We continue to rely on international efforts in order to neutralize the emergent threats. And we believe that the rapidly developing countries such as Brazil will make their contribution to the system of prevention of all the conflicts and terrorist attacks. But those bodies which are responsible for taking serious decisions are quite passive, inactive, and the methods which international organizations are using to counter mountain threats are too conventional, and the international institutions still believe in their stability and legitimacy, and we don't think that those efforts are enough. We want the efforts on the part of the international community to be intensified, and we're really working for that end quite actively. We believe that our policy is to be based on the principle of respect of national sovereignty and recognition of non-interference, struggle with racism, and total solidarity, including the integration processes that are underway in Latin America. The National Congress of Brazil also stresses the need for further strengthening of such principles as multipolarity of the world and multilateral dialogue, and the building of mutual trust so that conflicts could be overcome. Those principles are quite obvious and ought to be withstood by the diplomats too. They are to be implemented. And it may include the addressing asymmetry and symmetric approaches in the relations between the countries. We believe that while we defend our interests, we should do it in harmony with the interests of other countries. And such hard regions as the Caribbean region, Africa, and the Middle East. We are continuing our efforts also in the framework of the continental organizations such as Mercosur. We want Latin America to be a continent free of nuclear weapons forever, and a continent without foreign bases, military bases. We think that in the 20th century we saw a lot of conflicts on all the continents, and we think it's time to eradicate them. Our borders stretch for 18,000 kilometers, and we try to maintain friendly relations with all neighboring countries. We are the American Security Council member state and Latin American Security Council, and we think that its role is to cope with the threats that are posed to our continent and all our continents. We are trying to promote all American cooperation and creating the zone of peace and stability in South Latin America. Particularly, we would like to secure our maritime borders, and we have 8,000 kilometers of them. In particular, Brazil came up with a number of initiatives supported by the UN Security Council in order to secure those borders in the South Atlantic, and so that the cooperation could grow between the Latin American countries. And Latin America's share countries make up 96% in all our trade, and to secure that share, we need to counter piracy and any illegal maritime operations. We are promoting our cooperation with Russia, China, and India in the framework of BRICS organization. As for the non-proliferation, we believe that Latin America managed to be in line with the NPT throughout 20th century, and we will not stop working in that area. We want our region be free from nuclear weapons. For that end, Brazil and Argentina made up the joint agency in 2001 that is designed to develop cooperation between the two countries in the area of peaceful use of nuclear energy. The recent initiative on our part was to call a session of the UN General Assembly so that we could negotiate a comprehensive ban on nuclear weapons, and it was followed by three international conferences. The international community has already imposed a ban on chemical and biological weapons, and we believe that we should make another step and ban the last type of WMD. And if we succeed, the world will become more stable and more safe. And this is our top priority. We witness various conflicts in the 21st century. It's regional, ethnic, religious wars. We witness hybrid wars. So, if we think of a war, you can say that all areas and all spheres of life are engaged in that war. And even in space, there are also some weapon systems such as reconnaissance, intelligence satellites that can be used for war purposes. Countries are working on more lethal weapons, on laser weapons, and the lack of responsibility only deteriorates the situation here. Brazil stands for equal and well-balanced world, but it will do everything on its part in order to protect its sovereignty, its heritage, and its resources. And we will see to it that there is no anarchy taking place in our country or in our region. We stand for the development of new institutional and legal mechanisms so that those objectives can be achieved. And we continue investing heavily in our defense. Now it's 3% of the GDP, and we try to develop high-tech areas of defense. We go ahead with our peaceful nuclear program and continue work on the completion of the borders demarcation. Also, we upgrade our Air Force. We're proud of the fact that we are not only a peaceful country, but we are a country that makes their contribution to the global efforts of maintaining peace and stability. Brazil participated in peacekeeping operations quite successfully in various continents, and such countries as Haiti, Côte d'Ivoire, Democratic Republic of Congo, Somalia, Eritrea, Ethiopia. The foreign policy of Brazil is distinct with its solidarity. And finally, I would like to say that Brazil supports no measures of violence or force. We live on a continent that traditionally was one of the least stable in the world, and we know only too well that the equilibrium and balance of interests are the key points in securing peace and preventing terrorism. And I think that we need to cooperate with the international community, and I think that I have given a good outline of the policy that Brazil is pursuing, and basically it's our efforts to support peace and stability throughout the world. And actually we're working on new ways for the resolution of global problems. We believe that peace in the world is quite feasible, as well as the compliance with the international law on the global, regional and local levels.